Hello and welcome to another episode of What She Said. This week I chatted to my lovely friend Ellie Quinn of The Wandering Quinn. We had a super witchy bit of a bit of a woo-woo chat about the power of manifesting abundance, because I think sometimes it's easy to think that we're not the masters of our own destiny, especially when you're a blogger and there's so much other stuff going on. But you are, and you can make really awesome things happen. I hope it's super empowering. Both of us have had real shifts in our businesses over the past year, and we've seen how shifting our mindset has helped that happen and helped us to grow. And if nothing else, it's just quite a fun chat. We talked a little bit about our love of podcasts, specifically Yoga Girl, how it's important to run your own race, and how changing your mindset and manifesting abundance can be a total game changer. Enjoy the episode. Hi, Ellie.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of the podcast. I've listened to literally every single episode.
You're such a cheerleader. So before we go into it, I'm just going to put a little disclaimer. Ellie and I are friends in real life, so it might be a bit more of one of the giddy episodes.
Yeah.
So for anybody that doesn't know who you are, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your blogging journey so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, my name's Ellie and my blog is The Wandering Quinn. And I've actually had my blog, I always find this weird to say, because I've actually had my blog since the start of 2014. Mm-hmm. Before that I was living in Australia, and then someone just said to me, and I still remember it really vividly, that you should start a blog, because I was going to Southeast Asia. So I had been reading quite a few blogs anyway, like Brenna from the Spattered Suitcase. She's been on the show, and she was one of the first blogs that I ever read, or at least recognised was a blog as well. I'm sure before that I'd probably found them online, but not really realised that this was a thing. So I set up a Tumblr account, and I know. Old school. So my few months in Southeast Asia was very kind of journal-like, but also giving tips on accommodation prices and how to get to places, because that's all the information that I was looking for. And then end of 2014, I kind of realised that blogging was much more of a thing, and I set up my own domain, so The Wandering Quinn. 2015, again, it was just very journal-like, trying to put a bit of information out there. But it wasn't until I moved to London very nearly 2 years ago, actually, where I was I really want to... I still didn't really know what I wanted to do, but just kind of have a more established blog and feel like I was more of a blogger. Yeah. So, 2016 was still, I work full-time. Still work full-time. That was a good year for just producing content, but 2017 for me was a really kind of turning point in terms of actually making a bit of money through the blog, doing some press trips, doing a lot of collaborations, and my page views increasing, and I feel like becoming more of an established blogger. So I'm very excited about 2018 and the journey going forward.
So actually, all of this has happened in the time that I've known you, so I've kind of been able to see it happening in front of me, which is pretty cool. Going back to the beginning, and talking about some of the stumbling blocks that you will have no doubt stumbled on. What were those? Did you have any? You're such a positive person. You're not the sort of person to give up very easily.
Yeah, I must say I don't like to put myself down, I think, and I've never been like that, with everything really in life. But this time last year, I think actually was a really, is kind of the polar opposite to what I was feeling right now, because I was in a relationship that wasn't that good. I was in a job where it was good, but I just wasn't making any money. And I remember we've been able to save money living in London, and I remember just thinking what's the point? I'm putting so much effort into my blog, on the weekends and the evenings, and I'm a travel blogger and I love to travel, and I'm seeing all these people online going away all the time, but I can't afford to go away. And I did kind of have that why am I doing this? So I think, a year ago was probably at that point, because I think before that it was still very hobby-like, so I didn't really think of it too seriously. But 2016 kind of really changed my opinion on it, but then I kind of hit that slump in 2017 at the start.
I do think that everybody goes through that, don't they? They get to it, like, especially if you start a travel blog in the way that quite a lot of us started a travel blog, which was just to journal our travels. Most of us in Southeast Asia.
I know. So much content from that.
But if you start it that way, you just journal, and then suddenly someone says, or you notice, oh, hey, this could be a thing. You start taking it more seriously, and then you hit a wall, and you don't go any further. I feel like quite a lot of us go through that. There's so much noise out there telling us you should do it this way, you should do it that way, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I feel like we've probably gone in a similar journey this year. In that our mindsets have shifted. It's not that. So let's talk about that a little bit, because so 2017 has been an awesome year for you. You did lots of press trips and brand collaborations and things like that. What was it that changed? Because, you've written a couple of posts recently and been really honest and open and given some really great tips. I'll link to it in the show notes about exactly what grew your traffic. But let's talk a little bit about what changed in 2017.
I definitely put more effort into it. So although it's funny, if I look back on 2016, I thought I was working on it a lot, but like I really wasn't, which is fine because it was, again, still very hobby. But actually, the hours that I put in have been a lot more in 2017. And another thing is actually, I think the fact that I have had my blog for so long, actually, I found now that a lot of the posts that were older are now actually getting views, which is amazing. And now I'm just so thankful that I've kind of kept at it, because little things like that seem to be paying off. But also, very much like a mindset change, especially over the last few months so last year I did quite a lot of brand collaborations and press trips, and I did reach out to definitely quite a few people. I'm very much of the opinion, if you don't ask, then you don't get. So I always knew, I remember wondering, like, at one point, like, how big do you have to be to reach out? And so I can't really remember exactly when I did, but I've never had a negative response back. It's always either been like no response to an email, or something, or a good email back. But I started to notice then that I was getting a lot of emails, just randomly in my inbox. And when I say a lot, I don't mean a lot. I just mean a fair few, good quality things. And I then kind of thought, well, why me, in a way? And again, not in a I want to put myself down way, like, oh, why are they picking me over anyone else? Because I, do believe in my blog and myself. But at the same time, you think, oh, there's so many people out there. Like, how did they get hold of my details? And then that's when I kind of started believing and thinking about, well, I'm putting this energy out there, that I'm reaching out to a lot of people. And by all means, the amount of people that I've sent emails to and the amount of people that have come back has been like such a small amount, but that's fine, because I can only be in one place at one time, I guess, being a travel blogger. So but and then I was like, well, actually, I feel like I'm creating this, these collaborations and these emails that are coming in and these opportunities because I'm really, really trying, whether that's, the writing or reaching out and just, trying to share my knowledge as well. So that's what I think has been a big game changer for me.
And let's talk about the practical side of reaching out to brands, because I know that is, like you touched on it, like, how do you know when you're big enough, inverted, in quotation marks, how do you know when you're big enough to go to a brand and pitch to them? I'm totally of the same mindset as you. I think as long as you know yourself that you're offering value, then if you don't ask, you don't get. The blogosphere is so saturated. You can't expect all these dreamy brands that you want to collaborate with to come and find you.
No,
you can't just sit and wait for amazing things to happen to you. You kind of have to go out there and get them. But let's talk about the practical steps of, you just said it wasn't 1 or 2 or 3 pitches. There was probably, maybe 30 of them. How where did you start?
I think so. For me, yeah, travel is like everything. I think we're probably going to, I know you have a lot of people that listen to the podcast that are kind of blogging all types of spheres, but yeah, I'm very much, I feel like we'll talk about travel a lot because that's definitely my thing. So because I'm living in London, I've got a full-time job, so I am working around annual leave. I've very much been focusing on Europe recently and places I want to go in Europe. So like, I wouldn't, pitch to like visit Australia or something like that, because realistically I haven't got the time to go there, unfortunately. So I feel like, for one, I've been very realistic in what I've been going after. So whether that's like tourist boards, and I've been find their details, it's pretty easy to find details online, or just dropping people a message on Twitter. One thing I said in my post where I said about how I've grown my page views, I believe, is looking at which brands are already working with bloggers. So if they've got a successful thing, and again, that kind of, it's that thing of, you're copying, but if they're looking to work with bloggers, then they've got a project going when hopefully they are looking to work with other people. I don't think
that's copying at all. I think that's just really sensible, because you want to find out if someone's open to working with bloggers, because if they're not, then you've only got so many hours in the day to be pitching people. You may as well pitch people that have already got a kind of influencer strategy in place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I think with like good intention stuff, that's fine. So I'd say if to like a newbie person that was looking, hadn't pitched before and was wondering who to pitch to, I'd probably say, okay, look which tourist boards are working with bloggers, which kind of product or brands are kind of working with them. So and then I do just I put my media kit together. I mean, even this time last year, I definitely didn't have a media kit. I don't think I got one until, I think Traverse was the point where I was like, listening to loads of people chatting. I was like, okay, I need to create a media kit. Yeah. But I think I had one before that, but it wasn't that good. So I was like, right, need to get onto Canva, and I did one on Canva. And then just kind of put a pitch email together, and I think that's definitely evolved. I can imagine it, if I was to look back at what I wrote like a year ago, it wouldn't have been that good, but again, you pick up on different things and you learn how to say different things, so it's a part of the journey, I think, as well as.
I think so too.
And
also, just to interject here and say something which might be a bit controversial, I think people like to tell you need a media kit because they bloggers like, I'm saying bigger bloggers again in quotation marks. When I say bigger bloggers, I mean more established bloggers or whatever. I think sometimes they like to set themselves apart. Oh God, this is sounding really bad.
No, I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean?
It just feels like another thing that you should be doing, or you need to be doing.
Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I was going to say, and I also think, at first I was like, well, how do I even put a media kit together? And I remember like doing it on PowerPoint at work, like literally, this was like only in like March. And then I got onto Canva, and my media kit is no way impressive, and I'm not actually creative in that terms of like putting things like that together. And I thought about buying one, but it's just the fact, that's the thing. It's just writing really, and a few images, and it's just instead of me writing it in an email, I felt like it's good just to put it on there in an attachment, and it looks a bit more, slightly more professional. But I definitely know what you mean in terms of it kind of just feels like another thing or fancy thing you should be doing.
I think it's it is a nice thing to have, and if it saves you time and it's a nice way of tying up your kind of USP and all of the things that you offer value to a brand, then that's awesome. But I sort of feel like sometimes people wait until they've got a media kit before they pitch, because they think, I can't pitch if I don't have a media kit. And there's so many people who this is a complete honest truth bomb. I have a media kit, but I very rarely use it. I don't print it off. I don't take it to WTM. The brands that I work with very rarely ask for a media kit. It's only if I have to cold pitch a brand, which I don't do really anymore. That makes me sound like I'm so big I don't do it. It's more because it's just because I don't really work with brands.
Fair enough.
So I don't know. I think if it serves you, and it definitely did serve you,
Yeah.
Anyhow, just to interject there, but I'll take myself back out now and I'll pipe down.
No, it's fine. It's interesting. It's good to get other opinions. That's why I like this podcast.
So what else happened? So you started pitching people, and this was like, it's recent, wasn't it, Ellie? Because it was only last summer, really, where things started.
Yeah, I think for me, actually, so when I had this kind of like slump this time last year, towards the end of 2016, I had confirmed a trip to Egypt with, like an organised tour.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Yeah, so I went there in April, and so I actually knew, I remember when I booked it, I remember thinking, this is good because it's going to keep me wanting to post, because, I've just told them, like, that I've got a blog, I've got social media, and if I just disappear, they're going to be like, either I don't know if you could come on the trip, or you're kind of just like promising false things. So and I also, at WTM in 2016, I won flights to Georgia.
Of course you did.
So I took my dad there. So although I didn't do many travels in the start of 2017, it was really good because I actually had things on the horizon. And that's definitely what kind of kept me going. And then and then the kind of year went on, and by then it was kind of like, halfway through the year, and I did just get a couple of emails about a couple of trips, and that just kind of really increased my confidence as well. And it, and then I actually had content to produce because I went to Georgia and things like that, and I felt like I was, a bit more interesting on social media and online. So.
I think actually, I mean, I know we're talking about travel because that's like our area of expertise, and it's certainly yours, but this can apply to anything. It's totally transferable, but we're just, bear with us because we're talking about specifically press trips, but you could literally delete as appropriate and insert brand collaboration or whatever, or hotel stay, or I don't know, yoga retreat, whatever. I think when you start going on press trips, if you do a good job, you're on people's radars, because what people probably sometimes don't realise is that, it's not just Joe Bloggs, who's head of Georgia, who's organising it. It's a PR, or it's, whatever. Or it's an agency, and they organise other trips. And one of the best tips I ever got was from Jen Lothrop from She Gets Around. She was our very first guest way back in series 1, and she said to me, it was kind of just a throwaway comment. She was like, well, a PR is not going to want to go away with, someone they don't like. So be nice. Just be a nice person, as well as all the other stuff. So it's not just about your stats. It's about all of those things and being professional and the rest of it. But once you're on people's radars and you're a nice person, they will want to work with you again.
Yeah, definitely. And I found that, I guess because like the age we are and stuff, that a lot of the people that are in the PR agencies and stuff, they're just like us, really. And they are doing their 9 to 5, really. And so, I try and talk to people. Obviously, don't want it to be too casual, but I do kind of talk to them as if, they're just kind of a colleague, I guess, which you are, really, in ways. That's definitely true about press trips,
Do you think that, talking about kind of the thing that me and you are basically obsessed with, which is manifesting. So one of the things, I don't know if, I feel like you implanted this idea into my head because of Yoga Girl. I don't know if that's where it came from.
Because she did a whole episode on manifesting and how she, when she was in Costa Rica, and how things just happened. So I think at that point, like she was quite early on in a podcast, and we were just kind of like chatting about every episode that she brought out.
Because she was talking about manifesting abundance, and it seems really ridiculous, and if you don't listen to the podcast, it's amazing. It's so good. It's called From the Heart. I guess I'll link to that in the show notes as well. And she was, she'd lived in Costa Rica, and then she manifested. It was like she manifested a job basically, and then something else happened. But it was always like crazy shit happening to her. Like she couldn't pay her rent, but then suddenly someone offered her a job somewhere, which led to something else. And it wasn't just, it's not like Pretty Woman, but I don't know if that's a very good analogy. It was practical. But But I definitely believe that shifting your mindset is kind of the first step on the way to shifting everything else. I don't know. Yeah. I know you think the same as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think when it came to me, it's about just what I was saying before is, when I was reaching out a lot to people and, but then I was also getting, so actually we're talking about media kits and actually, but like the three kind of most successful, I think, like brand collaborations I did last year, none of those people saw my media kit. No one asked for it, literally just an email. Do you want to work with us? Do you want to do this? And I was like, I sent so many emails with all of these details to people that haven't got back to me, and then they've just like literally appeared in my inbox, like super easy. And then that's when I kind of thought, well, maybe I am creating this, like I am putting that, like I said, that energy out there to make that happen. And yeah, for me, I am a really big believer in it. I think everyone has that thought, like the quote, your thoughts affect your life and your thoughts can change your life is very general. And I think we all know it anyway. And you've heard it and you kind of think, yeah, no, that's true. But since I've been looking into this manifestation kind of thing more, I've realised that you can actually, and especially like with what Rachel was saying, you can really pinpoint more exactly what you want. Yeah. So what is it that you really want? And again, that can be something really big, or it could just be something just quite small in terms of, work or life or anything. And actually pinpointing, okay, this is what I want and I'm going to create it. And that is possible.
Do you, like, in terms of practical steps that you take, do you write it down, or do you, like, how do you kind of put it out there and make sure that that's forefront of your mind?
So what I've been kind of, again, like looking into recently, I think the first thing is to, decide what it is that you want, especially if it's going to be quite a big thing, whether it is like, a diary full of like dream clients, or that you want to go full time, or that you want to get, collaboration that is paid, around a certain amount of money or something like that. But I think, well, pinpointing firstly, what it is that you want. And obviously maybe there's some of the smaller things you won't know exactly what you want until that it kind of arrives in that way. Yeah. But the big thing that I kind of heard recently is that if you don't know what you want, then this is going to say, I'm going to start talking about the universe and everything. We're going to go in for it. Let's do it. We do it. But if you don't know what you want, then how can the universe give you what you want? Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and I think so we were chatting this morning actually, because on your Facebook group, which I love as well, and the honesty kind of section that you've got going, so it's Wednesday today, so that went out this morning. Yeah. And I know we were speaking with a few people saying, about goals, but it's like really working out, well, what is your goal? Because if you don't know what it is, how are you going to know that you've achieved it, or how is that going to manifest for you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And actually the whole goal thing as well, I think, is so important, because so often as bloggers we're chasing stuff that we don't really know, stuff that we don't know why we're chasing it, right? I think the example that we were using is that a lot of people were saying, so in the honesty thread, for anybody that's not part of the Facebook group, and if you want to be part of the Facebook group, go to just search for What She Said in Facebook, and you'll find it, and you just have to request to join. Every Wednesday now we're going to do a bit of an honesty thread, and
we're going to do it now. Put it out on the podcast.
Yeah, it's happening. And normally I start by just saying, these are 3 things that is going on for me, and it'll just be honest stuff that you don't necessarily always hear from other bloggers. So one week I shared, this is my rate, this is how much I get paid if I write for The Telegraph, for example. And I can't remember what I was saying today. I can't remember at all, but it'll be, like we all say different things, but then everybody feels open and comfortable to be vulnerable and say, oh my god, I'm hating Instagram at the moment and I just feel shit about it every time I look at it, or I've been desperate to grow my blog for the past 2 years. One person even was like, I'm feeling absolute crap at the moment. My stats have tanked. My husband's snoring all the time and I can't sleep. Do you know, like, it's just stuff like that. So this particular example that me and you were both involved in, this particular thread, was a couple of people talking about their traffic, and they were feeling down on themselves because they felt that they wanted to grow their blog. And so I went back and said, why do you want to grow it, and what is your actual goal, like, and why? And that is always my number one question to clients, because when I've had coaching clients, everybody wants to grow their traffic, and they want to get to whatever number, their magic number. And it's the same on Instagram, really, and any other form of social media. If you don't know why you want to get to that number, it's probably not going to happen. And when you get there, what are you going to do with it? You're going to want to get to another number, because
it's like everything. It's like weight loss. It's like everything. People say, like, I want to get down to this number, and it's like, okay, well, what happens when you get there? Are you going to keep losing weight? Because you probably can't then. So it's so true.
And I just think, so what we were talking about was knowing your, I mean, we kind of gone a bit off topic and rambled. I'm rambling now, but I suppose it kind of it all ties in together. Like, if you know, I want to get to 25,000 page views because then I get accepted into this ad network, where I can then advertise on my blog and I can monetize it. Great, that's your goal. Once you get there, you're going to feel great because you've got something kind of almost not tangible, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean, you've got something trackable. Exactly. But if you're just putting out there into the universe, I just want to get to a number because I just want to get there, basically you're just serving your own ego, and I feel like the universe isn't going to give that to you. Not to be too woo. Actually, do you know what, let's just be woo woo.
We're woo woo. We maybe just name this podcast woo woo.
The woo woo episode. I think we probably should. No, it's so very, very true. It's hard though, isn't it, because it kind of feels a bit ridiculous, but I think you've really proved that if you put it out there, well, it's a bit like, you know, you're probably too young for this, but you know the film Field of Dreams?
No.
It's way before your time. If you build it, they will come.
Okay, yeah.
Have you heard that saying?
Yeah. So, no, definitely.
So I'm not going to go into Field of Dreams, but Kevin Costner builds a baseball pitch for some dead baseball players to come.
Okay, I'll check it out then.
It's terrible. It's kind of kitsch. It's very old. But anyhow, the point is, you've got to build. You've got to build it in your mind, haven't you?
Yeah. There's no point in asking people. Asking people to do stuff that you haven't provided it, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So what are some other things that really grew your traffic? Or actually, I won't say grow your traffic, that's a terrible thing to say. What, things that like helped you on your blogging journey last year?
So I think, most definitely is the community as well on like social media.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many people that I followed for so long. And I feel like a lot of us are kind of moving at the same stage with like our blogs and things, and even if people aren't, that's fine. But at the moment I really love Twitter, so I think it's such a good community, and for people just sharing stuff and just really interacting, and I genuinely believe that's really helped as well. Definitely.
I think networking, sometimes when we talk about networking, because everybody says that networking, it will help your blog, and I do agree with that, but it is a little bit terrifying because most of us are introverted by nature, most of us in the kind of blogging community. You're not introverted really, are you?
Well, I always have this debate. I think I'm in the middle really. So I always say that I am, if there's someone, even like a project at work or something, if there's someone that wants to take control and lead it, I'm like, do you know what, you go ahead, that's fine. But when it comes to, oh no, I don't want to do it, I want to do it, then I'm like the person that will step up. Yeah. So I definitely get nervous. Like I've been to a couple of events, especially towards the end of like last year, I feel like, and I definitely get nervous before I go in. But again, I just try and remember that everyone's everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah, that's true.
And I know I went to like the Travel Massive after World Travel Market this year, and I went last year and I met like at least 2 girls that I'm like speak to all the time now, and you know, I think they're absolutely great. And so I walked in with this girl this year, and she was obviously quite shy, and I just thought, well, yeah, I'm the one, I'll start a conversation as well, you know. So I think that's definitely key to remember, that everyone's in the same boat and everyone's there for the same thing. And and it's like a bit like traveling as well, when you arrive to like a hostel dorm or whatever, you see a group of people and you're like, oh, they all look like really good friends, like they've all been chatting, and then when you speak to them, they're like, oh no, we literally met this morning. It's the same events, and you'll be like, oh, so do you guys know each other? And they're like, no, we literally just started talking 10 minutes ago. So I always try and keep that in mind as well, to reassure myself.
But, you know, Twitter and social media is the perfect place for networking, because that can, like you've just touched on, Twitter, like there's an amazing community there. For me, Instagram is my kind of preferred community, and you can definitely, I count that as networking. I've definitely done some excellent networking from the comfort of my own home. And what are some other things that have helped you?
So I think 2017 I very much concentrated on my blog as well. So 2016 I started like vlogging, and that's because I love YouTube is like my TV. I don't turn my TV on. I don't watch Netflix, but I do like YouTube and watching vloggers, and it's always sound like, oh, I really want to do that. So in 2016 I did do a few like vlogs, and I was again really proud of myself, because I thought, you know what, I'm proud that I thought I want to do this, and I've done it. And but then towards the end of 2016 I got quite stressed that, you know, I'm trying to write blog posts and edit videos, and again, you know, just haven't got the time. So I kind of decided, okay, what is my focus? Like, is my focus my blog, or is it the video? And it was by far my blog, because YouTube is, it's hard, well, everything's hard to grow on, but you know, I wasn't a pro at YouTube at all. So, so I think just not spreading myself too thinly definitely really helped, because it just made me, just concentrate on my blog a lot more, rather than trying to do a few too many things at once. And now I've got my blog, you know, in a place that I'm happy with, and obviously I still want it to grow and do a lot more, but I'm going to try and like film a few things this year now, and hopefully get a bit more of a balance. I think that's such a good tip. It's so easy for us to feel like we have to do everything. You have to start a podcast, you have to be on YouTube, you have to have an amazing blog, you have to be on every form of social media, and giving yourself permission to focus on one or two things. I think it's so important. And I guess, even though I'm not really much of an intention setter or a word of the year type of person, I do think that even just setting your focuses at the start of the year, or actually, do you know what, it doesn't have to be at the start of the year, but just having some focuses on, like, or goals or whatever for your blog. I think that's so important. It's really easy, especially as creatives. Like, we're in an echo chamber, aren't we? Constantly on social media, so you're constantly seeing what other people are doing, constantly hearing video content is the most important thing, and or Pinterest is the most important thing. Oh my god, you've got to up your game on Facebook. You just have to like. And I know we talk about this quite a lot, like put your blinkers on, like... Yeah, I love that analogy, I think you just have to, don't you? Put your blinkers on and focus on running your own race. Yeah, definitely, And I think the big thing about, it's worth noting with the blog and YouTube as well, if anyone's thinking like the same as they're trying to do everything, is that a lot of the big YouTubers that, you know, do get the thousands and thousands of views and do really well, if you try and find their blog, they either don't have one, or it's not updated that often, or it is their completely full-time gig, and therefore they have time, but you never really find that, you know, someone that's super big in YouTube that has a blog as well, because so I think when I realised that as well, I thought that makes me feel a lot better. I'm trying to do a full-time job, blog, YouTube, everything, so it's impossible, you just can't do it. Do you know that the Anna edit is coming on? Do you know that? The Anna edit, Viviana. No. Viviana does makeup. No. I'm a big beauty vlogger. Oh, okay.
So you know Lily Pebbles?
I recognise the name. Yeah.
If you go to her channel, you'll see Anna.
Okay.
You'll probably recognise her. Anyway, she is an example of some, and actually I think beauty bloggers and vloggers do this quite well. She's an example of someone who does both, even before it was her full-time gig. And I really do think that is because when you travel, creating travel content is a lot more time-intensive, labour-intensive.
Yeah.
Even from the very start, if you're creating travel videos, it's going to take a lot more time. Whereas beauty videos, you can often just sit down.
That's it. Yeah, it's just some little edits.
Yeah, and obviously, like, these people are amazing nowadays. Like the big YouTubers like Zoella and all the rest of them. They obviously are super slick, but they didn't start off that way.
No, it's good. Yeah, it is good to watch back at a few as well. People that are really good and see them because it just shows as well. Yeah. Definitely.
And what else has really kind of helped to shift your mindset? Do you think that because I think it is quite hard to stay motivated throughout the whole year, even if you've got good intentions and you want to stay focused and all the rest of it. It's so hard to kind of keep running your own race. How do you do it?
Yeah, so I think. So in terms of kind of writing stuff down, I didn't actually do that much last year, and probably because I didn't expect, things to kind of go as well as they did in some ways. But for example, like this year, so I was feeling super, super positive at the start of January, very excited for a good year. So what I've kind of done this year anyway to keep myself motivated is what kind of touched on earlier, is just really writing things down. So I have got multiple journals all around my room for different kinds of things. So so for my blog, I was like, right, if I'm going to try and take this more seriously, let's do not by no means like a business plan, but again thinking a bit more businessy. And what I've found as well, and again both blog and life as well, is that I've been focusing on 6 months and then on a year. So because I think that just really closes it down more, I think. And again, this kind of goes back to what we were saying about working out what is it that you want and deciding, putting that out there, but also putting a time frame on it, because I think Ivan was just saying, like in your chat earlier, about some things that I want, but then I was like, I can't have that right now. Like I can't be a full-time blogger right now. And to be honest, I don't really want to be, but then it crops into my mind that I do. But so it's good to have those things that are 6 months or a year, and that what you're in right now is the journey towards that. So that's definitely, hopefully what's going to keep me a bit more focused this year. And especially when I doubt myself, or I feel like maybe it's not going, or I feel like I'm a bit more of in a slump or anything, then I hope that that's going to help me.
Oh yeah, it definitely will. I've decided to do it in 3 months, like in quarters, basically.
Okay, nice. So
this first quarter is just podcast. I'm like, it's 100% kind of podcast. It's a bit different for me because it is my full-time job, but that's my main focus. So I've given myself permission to, spend some of my working days, because the podcast doesn't earn me any money. But I needed to prioritise it, because I think it doesn't earn me money directly, but actually, even when you look at, my SEO course or some of the affiliate money that I've made, it has come from my podcast community and the people who listen to the podcast and therefore trust what I'm saying, or so the first quarter is podcast, and then I'm just gonna shift it, and then it'll probably be moving back to blog again. Although I haven't stopped writing on the blog. Oh, it's so hard, Ellie.
I know. Definitely. No, it is.
So this feels like quite a good point to end it, and I'll let you get on with your evening. But where can everybody find you online, and what are you up to next? Where are you travelling to next?
Next I am going to Austria, actually
you're
skiing.
going skiing, aren't you?
Yeah, which I've never been skiing before. So I am thinking positive thoughts about the fact that I'm not going to break any bones.
You won't.
Yes. And then to find me, I am the Wandering Quinn on Instagram and on Facebook, and then Wandering_Quinn on Twitter due to the character limit. And yeah, pretty much just Ellie Quinn or the Wandering Quinn in most places.
Perfect. And I'll link to everything in the show notes. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to What She Said. If you liked this episode or any of the other episodes, then please think about leaving me a rating and a review on iTunes, because it really helps get the show out to other awesome creators like you, and it's a little bit of an ego boost for me too. If you want to connect with me, you can find me over on Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, everywhere at Wanderloose Blog, or just head over to my blog, wanderloose.com, which is also where you can find the show notes for every single episode too. I love hearing what you think about the show, if it's good, and I try to reply to each and every one of you. Thanks for listening, and come back again next week.